Hello Internet, my name is Lave and I watched Ocean's 8, the spin-off slash sequel to the George Clooney slash Brad Pitt Ocean's trilogy. This time around we've got a female-led cast with Sandra Bullock playing Debbie Ocean, sister to Danny Ocean, who we pick up with as she gets released from prison, so she puts together a new crew with the aim of stealing a necklace worth $150 million in the middle of a fashion gala in New York. So it's worth noting that Steven Soderbergh hasn't returned to the director's chair after directing the previous three. I believe he's still working as a producer on this one, but he's handed the reins over to Gary Ross, who writes and directs. His last film was a bit of a disappointment for me, but that's because it had so much potential, but he has got some good projects attached to his name, and I do wonder in the pre-production for this film whether the question was asked of him, should he try and put his own stamp on the Ocean's brand, or should he just imitate Steven Soderbergh's style? And I would say he's gone for the latter, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Its editing is slick, you get the same split screen transitions and a cool soundtrack. It is a carbon copy that feels like it's in the same universe, at least aesthetically. But in terms of the story, it definitely feels familiar. It's hitting all of the same beats, but that's to be expected with a heist movie, and that's what it is. It's a no thrills heist movie. Granted, they do switch some things up. Some of the character motivations are signposted very early on, so in that respect, it's a little bit predictable. And that's not to say that it doesn't have a few tricks up its sleeves. I mean, it does have a few twists, but when they happen, it's not particularly mind-blowing. When they do these big reveals, it's like, oh, okay. Performance-wise, I did like the cast. Sandra Bullock plays a stoical Debbie Ocean. Hell hath no fury. She does have a fantastic sequence early on in the film when she's just released from prison and she's only got $45 to her name, so she goes out on the con and she cons her way back into the high life before she starts recruiting her team members. And I liked them too. At first, I thought some of them were gonna really annoy me, but they won me over. They all have their function within the team. Rihanna is the hacker, Awkwafina is the expert pickpocket, Mindy Kaling is the jewelry expert, and then you've got Helena Bonham-Carter as this washed up quirky fashion designer who kind of gets roped into it all. Wasn't too sure on her accent that she went with, but she's quirky and it works. The only exception is Cate Blanchett, who's playing the equivalent of Rusty from the previous films. I just wasn't sure what she was meant to be doing in the heist. I mean, she's there with the recruitment and they establish that she's a former partner of Sandra Bullock's character, but then so was Sarah Paulson's character, and I suppose she was the tech expert, but those two characters were a bit interchangeable for me. You've also got Anne Hathaway, who is deliberately annoying as this super bitch actress with an inflated opinion of herself, but she's clearly having fun in the role. She has a moment when she's going to be uncontrollably sick, which we've seen done a million times before. It's very cliche, but it did make me laugh. She acts it really well. There are a couple of other moments in the film which are clearly going for the laughs but didn't really land, but then I wouldn't say this is an out and out comedy. It is a heist movie. The only bit of casting where I did roll my eyes was when James Corden turns up as this supposedly shit hot insurance investigator. I just didn't buy into his performance at all, but then I don't see the appeal in James Corden in real life, so maybe I'm just being prejudiced towards him. Anyone else I think I would have been fine with, but why James Corden? I do have a couple of other niggly points which I think the other Ocean's films were guilty of as well, like endorsing celebrity culture and giving themselves a pat on the back. It does feel a bit vain. There are other points which I can't really get into because of spoilers, it would give away plot details, but then like every heist film, you've got to take it all with a pinch of salt. So that's my thoughts on Ocean's 8, and pause the video if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker now. All in all, this film pretty much delivered on what I was expecting. It's very much coasting on the Ocean's brand. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it. Could there be a potential for future films? Yeah, actually, I think there could be. I think this film leaves a lot of questions unanswered, which they could explore in future films, which would make the story more interesting if they do it right. So thanks very much for watching my review of Ocean's 8. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give this video a like and don't forget to share the lave. Subscribe.